I think we're all going to be talking about disappointments throughout this entire podcast. Are we all caught up with episode 4 of Falcon and Winter Soldier, by the way?
I think we all are, yeah.
Elliott, are you caught up with it?
I've seen the first 3 episodes. I couldn't bring myself to watch the 4th one 3 in a row. Well, it's just too much for
That's
me.
when most of it fucking happens, you know.
You know,
You
really
might
not
have
watched the 4th one?
You can spoil
Yeah.
it for me. I don't mind.
Yeah.
There's a lot that happens in it, to be honest, mate.
You're not going to spoil it for me. I promise you're not going to spoil it for me.
Are you really not enjoying it that much?
I find it like this is 40 minutes long, these shows, and I'd rather watch the Snyder Cut. Like I found that easier to watch than this. And it's like 40 minutes just feels like it takes forever to get to the end of an episode.
See, that's what I think
episode 5, 60 odd minutes, so
Fuck.
I still think though it's too short this season for everything that they've done. Like every single episode seems to be creating a new thread.
One thing that you've got to look at it with is, so we've done the thing, haven't we, where you're not watching any breakdown videos, you're not reading any articles about it, you're just watching it as
I thought you're
a casual fan. No, I've been watching all breakdown videos.
No, you said that you were down that, and I
No, we didn't. Elliott, we agreed I'd watch them all, and Kyle won't watch any.
At some point, you switched over because I think the first time
you
said that you weren't going to watch them, and I think it was like the last time we did the podcast. You said, "Oh no, let's do it the other way around."
So
bastard. All right, well I've been watching, so that's run that experiment because I've been watching them all.
If it helps, I haven't seen any spoilers.
So you've not been. I know you for a fact you won't watch any breakdown videos, will you, Elliott? So you can just.
One of the things that surprised me was the fact that this was meant to be the first thing that came out, wasn't it? Before all the pandemic rescheduled everything and reworked everything. And it was originally meant to be 9 episodes long.
Well, originally they were a completely different storyline in it. So
it was to do with a virus getting released. So they've had to. I think they've done quite a good job. And I know there is a couple of people that are planning on releasing videos showing you exactly what they have had to change and what they kind of had to go away from, kind of thing. Because there's so many, like, you can tell with some scenes, especially with flag smashers, that it's kind of cut really weird and don't really fit and don't really work.
Well, it's fit into them being sort of terrorists, haven't it, really?
Yeah, but if you take that into account, I think it's actually a really decent TV series. Like, production quality on it, I can't say how bad about production quality on it. It's up there with Winter Soldier and Civil War. Yeah.
So I find the special effects pretty poor in this because I find Falcon's, especially in the first episode, that first 10 minutes, it's a good fight, but the CGI on the plane and on Falcon's wings looks terrible for me.
Yeah, I didn't find any issues with it, and I thought the fight scenes and stuff and choreography were absolutely amazing.
I think you might have to go back and watch Winter Soldier, Elliott, because for me, I think it looks very similar. And if you think, in terms
but it might be that I don't think it was very good in that, to be honest with you. I think that's probably more likely the case. I don't know. Perhaps I just don't like the costume, but I did like the fight scene. I thought the fight scene was like a way to do an interesting flying character was pretty good.
I think the difference is there wasn't much of what he does. Like, there's quite a lot of he explored it a little bit in Civil War, didn't it? Basically, when he's like moving and he's like his wings just pop up, like when he's wanting to do like a flying kick. Whereas in Winter Soldier, it's a lot more basic. What he does essentially is just like sort of flying around into. So there's a lot more room where there could be areas with special effects. I don't like his designer suit. I prefer the one he had in Civil War and Infinity War.
I think it's an horrible suit and an horrible power, to be fair. I mean,
it's not really
just
power.
Because I say, it's a normal bloke with some wings on his back. It's hard to make it exciting.
Can I ask a question? I can't remember. Is it John Walker?
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's throwing the shield and he's like throwing it like Cap throws it. But they say he doesn't have super strength. So can anyone throw the shield like that?
Yeah.
If you're trained with it, yeah.
There is a scene though, like in the second episode, where he's sat down. He's at that football game and he's being interviewed, and he says,
that's the one that I'm pointing at.
No, but there's basically he's sort of he exceeded everybody else in terms of like. So they tried people out that were in the military to throw the shield and obviously be like Captain America. They've not just give it to someone and just said, you know, you be Captain America.
Yeah, no, but there's a difference. Like Captain America's got super strength, which is what I assumed was what made it fly the way that it did. Everybody who throws it has had super strength up until this point.
Well, no, that's Captain America is just obviously it's quite strong, but the whole point of the shield is it's ridiculously light. So it's like as strong as steel, if not stronger. But it's, I mean, they said that in the first Captain America, it's like it's tougher than steel and it's a third the weight. So
I'm going to say
it's like throwing aluminium.
In the 4th episode, you see, you know, the Wakandan.
The Royal Guard, yeah.
Yeah, begins with M, doesn't it? Yeah. She does the kick move, you know, that Captain America does, where it flips up and grabs it on his forearm. She does that, and it looks exactly the same as how Captain America does it, and throws it about. And then you'll see him throw it a bit differently in 4th one as well. So
Captain America could be replaced by any ultimate frisbee player in the world.
Yeah, but the whole point of this TV show is that you can't just replace Captain America, isn't it? Like, it's not Captain America about what he's able to do physically. It's more his ideals that make Captain America. That's what I'm getting from this TV show.
It kind of exploits that because it's trying to show what happens. Like in previous, you know, Rogers era, it's more about America coming to save the world and people are happy to see him. Whereas this is more America's an authoritarian state. Captain America's a bit more of a authoritarian figure, I would say.
To an extent, I mean, Steve Rogers, I mean, it depends if you look at Civil War, isn't it? Civil War, that were him going against America. So I don't know. I think it's more on ideals. I don't really think Captain America's. He's about America, but he's not. If you get me.
I get you. I get your point.
Yeah. So it's not really about the government that's in charge. It's more about the American ideals, isn't it? Which are meant to be righteous and good.
But I would suggest that Captain America: Winter Soldier is the one that challenges that thought process, where he's having to choose between America and his best friend. But I wouldn't say that this explores that in the same way.
See, you've got to watch that 4th episode. That 4th episode shows you a ridiculous amount of stuff. It still doesn't delve into John Walker as much as what I think anybody wants, but it shows you a lot of different stuff. So it's called Everybody's Watching, isn't it? The World is Watching.
Yeah.
The 4th episode. You get a good monologue from the Ginger Lass, from Flag Smashers, and stuff like that. There's a lot more talking in it than what there's been in other episodes. A lot more fleshing out.
To go back to your point on where you said about spoilers, I didn't realise that they'd cut out a whole thing about a virus from this.
Well, this one meant to be the first one that got released, wasn't it? Yeah, it has been done. Once I found that out, I've looked at it a completely different light. Which
it would have been interesting to see, especially because my big argument with this is it feels like it's going to be a rushed ending. Like, it feels like the 6 episodes is not big enough. However, you know, with the original one, if it were going to be 9 episodes, they could have explored a lot more of these different threads that they were creating and potentially not create so many others. So it would have been interesting to see what the original version would have been like.
See, what surprised me is the fact that Disney have cut out the virus thing, but yet they've left in the ending to episode 4. I mean, that's the most amount of blood I've ever seen in a Marvel pick. That shocked me.
I think they've probably got away with it because of Disney Plus in a way.
But it's still on the normal Disney Plus. It's not behind the age wall, which is it's weird. I wasn't expecting it at all.
They didn't go full though, did they? I mean,
for a Marvel, that were brutal. That were a lot of blood from Marvel as well. Normally, you get a runny nose or a cut eyebrow.
I suppose it's a good start though, because they can test the waterway. Because obviously they're going to get to a point where they're going to. I mean, Deadpool it's going to be R-rated, and they want to bring out a Deadpool 3, don't they? So it's
as far as I know, it's been out 2 days, and I've not seen much backlash from it. So it could be a good sign.
I'm disappointed with how it ended though. I think the whole John Walker, probably down to the changing storyline, but the whole John Walker thing, and I just think his character's being rushed.
Again, this is like the downside to watching the breakdown videos. They point out a lot of mannerisms and a lot of twitches and a lot of things that like John Walker's been doing off center. So like it'll be focused on one character, and then you can see him in background like
Yeah, but just in space of 3 episodes, completely gone off the rails.
Yeah, I did find it a bit rushed in the fact that like they used the same episode where you got Sam talking about whether or not he'd take the virus, and then you got John Walker talking about it, and then actually taking it kind of not the virus. The serum. It did seem a bit rushed that way, but
I just think they could have. I mean, in the comics, there's a lot more a tragedy to why when he goes off the rails, isn't there? I mean, I would think they want to kill off his wife, gets murdered, going after these flag smashers, and that makes him completely lose it.
I don't know. I quite like the idea that the reason why he's took it is because he feels inadequate. Like that for me, that is a good way to push it. The most reason why like most athletes and stuff would take steroids are probably because they think that they can't compete if they want on them. Goes up against the super soldiers in episode 1, episode 2,
episode 3.
They beat him, and then they beat him again in episode 4, and then he gets beat up by Wakandans in episode 4 again. And literally after that, after getting his ass whooped, he looks around and goes, "They're not even super soldiers."
I just think it all feels a little bit rushed in how they've done it. I just think they could have been.
It does.
I mean, the whole idea is, fuck it. There's Bucky's seeing a psychiatrist, and then that psychiatrist also interviews Sam and Bucky. So you'd have thought the US military would have put some thought into doing a full psychological breakdown on what this person is going to be.
Fair, I'm a bit gutted that just kind of ended. Like I thought that psychiatrist, I thought they might have had some more sessions in there. They might have had some.
It's a little bit Sopranos-esque, isn't it? Really, where he's talking to psychiatrists. But this is another thing as well, which I don't really is slightly annoying me because first 2 episodes I got that hint that what this is going to be is it's going to be a buddy cop TV show with Bucky and Sam. Because you got whiffs of it, didn't you? Where it were going to be, especially when they were seeing that psychiatrist.
They kind of gave you the feeling that there were going to be a lot of quips between them. There were going to be a lot of banter bouncing off each other, a bit like Lethal Weapon TV series and things like that.
Exactly. Whereas the third and fourth ones are going away from that.
Yeah.
Which I don't like because I liked them being a bit buddy cop, between love and hate. But then eventually it end where it's like
their personalities aren't far enough away that you can do a buddy cop thing. I think.
I thought it worked in first and second episode, and then third and fourth they've kind of just gone away with it all.
Bucky started off as Winter Soldier, so he was trying to kill Falcon, and then he almost killed him in Civil War when he got brainwashed again.
Yeah, so, no, but you can't go from that to having a fun, quippy.
No, but the whole point here
back and forth.
It starts off where there's still, like it's like a love-hate relationship, and eventually it gets to the point because
I don't think it does.
Yeah, but Lethal Weapon, they didn't like each other. They hated each other.
Yeah, but these two characters don't talk to one another. Like they say in the first episode, "Oh, Sam's been calling you, and you've just not picked up." And then in I think it's the 3rd episode, Bucky just turns up at the airfield with him.
Yeah, but you're not thinking about what happened with Infinity War and Endgame. Like they both stood hugging Tony Stark's funeral. So obviously during that time they've managed to them experiences have made them.
This is again you making something up that happened off screen, isn't it?
Well, no, this is what
you just said this is what like you said. Oh, they were too close, and now something's happened in between that.
If they hate each other, why are they stood together at Tony Stark's funeral?
I never said that they hated each other. I just said that they have very similar personalities and they're a bit loose with the rules. The others uptight because they both play the same.
See, I don't know.
Front, they have the same.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about that. It's the relationship them two have together where they both hate each other, but then they start growing on each other.
See, I don't really think that, like, because in the past films, like, even though Winter Soldier was antagonist of Civil War, Captain America's Winter Soldier, I don't think either one of them has been fleshed out enough.
Exactly.
To be able to stick them in. So I think there could have happened an opportunity here to do what they kind of showed us that they were going to do. To kind of do a buddy kind of cop where they were bouncing off each other, and at first they were moodier, and then they started to rib each other all the time and bounce off each other, and that's what kind of it created a closer bond. Because one thing that I thought on all the way up to this is I wasn't that excited for it. I'm not a massive fan of Falcon or Winter Soldier. Like neither one of them are characters that like proper grip me in films.
Let me just put it to a vote. Out of the whole series, who's one of your favourite characters out of this? Between
Zemo.
Falcon.
Zemo, yeah.
Well, yeah, because of that. That dances men. Forgetting about Zemo, between Sam and Bucky, who do you prefer? These
it
characters.
depends. Because they're both very different now in fourth episode than what they were in first and second. This is the thing.
Well,
they kind of started doing something and then went away from it.
Can I just say, after the first episode, I didn't want to see either of them.
I don't know. I like the whole Bucky having PTSD about what he was doing and trying to make amends.
I don't know. I find it quite.
Yeah, but it doesn't reappear for like 4 episodes.
Well, that's exactly my point with this. Is the whole threads that they create. Every single episode is creating these threads. Second episode where you'd got the whole Black Captain America, no mention of that whatsoever. Then you move on to third episode, Paul Power Broker thing, and then she's just sort of left at the end of it saying, "Oh, we've got a big problem." It's like, so where are you going to go with this? And there's only like 3 episodes. Then you get to episode 4. John Walker's taken a serum. He's killed a guy in front of everybody. That's creating a whole new fucking thread. And Zemo's disappeared. There's so many threads being created. First 4 episodes. How are these 2 episodes going to end?
Yeah, but I don't see why they have to end. So, like WandaVision, I kind of the way that they did that story and the story that they were telling, it had to properly end. But like Daredevil, you knew there were a season 2 coming, or at least you wanted a season 2. That did completely finish. It didn't close every loose thread. It didn't.
Well, Marvel,
and that's what most. Well, yeah, but whether it announces it or not, Netflix didn't announce season 2 of Daredevil till after it had aired. Like, why does it have to be all finished off? Why does every thread have to get a concise? That's it, done.
I suppose.
Why can they not leave some things open?
But I think what they should have done is told one story at a time rather than trying to tell the start of 6 stories. And then go, right, we'll just do every season, we'll just do a different story based off of. So you have to see season 1, or at least.
Well, they are like the main story is the Flag Smashers, and then the John Walker's the side story and the villain that's going to eventually come about it all. And what I'm assuming Flag Smashers and Sam are going to join up together.
Is that the main story though? Because for me,
yeah,
I think the main story is who's going to be worthy being Captain America. That's the whole point, really. It's the story.
That's like a back premise. That's not the actual story, is it? What a shit story. that's just a side thing. That's just something pushing it all the way through. Something that connects every episode. The main story is the terrorists, the things that they're doing.
Do you think we spend enough time with the terrorists with all the other different subplots?
Fuck all time, Liam. In terms of motivation and what they've done.
I don't know.
I mean, I imagine they've cut a lot out, but.
There's no motivation whatsoever. Let's say
what do you mean there's no motivation?
All it goes on about is the fact that you've had a fight in that 5-year period before Blip that there were no countries.
No, there were no borders, so people were accepting people in. There were plenty of work for everybody. It worked better. Everybody were better off.
That's because there were half the population were gone. So
again, that done.
3 billion people come back into the world.
Yeah, but
them people are going to need food and jobs.
But apparently everybody got pushed out the jobs. Everybody got pushed out their homes, and it will give them back to the ones that had disappeared.
The premise is that all the refugees that had moved to sort of America and all different places around the world had got kicked out for the people who lived there before the Blip.
Yeah.
And they were just saying that they wanted to go back to a world with no borders. It's not very well explained, and their plan for how they get back there 3 episodes in, I still couldn't tell you what their plan actually is. Other than
the plan for how they do it is
there's 20 people take super soldier serum and somehow take over the world. That's so.
They've not really got a plan.
They're going to attack these little food outlets, really, basically.
But if you look at most terrorists don't actually have a proper plan on how to do it. They just want to create enough oomph for people to look at the cause, and then they come up with a plan.
I don't know. In Winter Soldier with Hydra, I mean, with the whole.
Hydra is not really a terrorist organization. Well, if they are, they're like a super terrorist organization.
Yeah, so the virus thing would have made sense, because they would have probably killed off quite a lot of the population to then get back to where they were.
I think that probably what they're planning. If we release this virus, it'll kill between this much and this much population. They've got a virus that was so deadly, it was going to put things back to how it was during the Blip.
Falcon Winter Soldier would be a better TV show if there had been a separate Captain America show. Pre this show, if there had been like an episode, like it basically ends where they have a new Captain America and starts where Sam gives away the shield. And you got to explore Captain America's character in isolation. Then it's led into this.
No, I just think it would have been it'd be a better show if they explored more about the characters itself. it's a longer TV show.
But you could do more about the history of Captain America. You could go down the route of all the other failed experiments to have Captain America. You could bring in Isaiah at that point, and then it would be something to look forward to in the series.
I don't know if the need to be fleshed out much more. I mean, John Walker could do a little bit, but I mean, you already know that there's some kind of bad thing that happened when he won his medals. He don't feel like he deserved them. When in episode 4, when him and his mate are talking, and he was saying, if we had to him, then just think how many lives we could have saved. You already know little bits and the hint at things, and I mean, can it not be just left up to your imagination? Do they have to spell everything out for you? I don't know whether or not. And again, with the go on, what's his name? Black Captain America. Could that not just? That's the one. Could it not just be a shout out, a little call out to comic books rather than actual having to delve into him and show you that he was Captain America at some point, kind of thing?
Yeah, but if you don't know who he is, I think that it just sort of comes out of nowhere. He just goes visits him and says, "Oh, he was chasing me down in the jungle."
Well, for the casual fan.
Yeah,
for
but
the
that's
casual fan,
that large majority of people is.
Well, yeah, for the casual fan, is all he is showing that there were other super soldiers that have been used, and showing you how they felt about being used. It wasn't showing the only people that know that he were a black Captain America is comic book fans.
I just think it would have.
They could have called. So if they didn't call him, whatever that name is. You know, I'm not going to pronounce it. That's why I'm refusing to do it. So, if they didn't call him that, would you want him fleshed out more?
Oh, you're on about, yeah.
I think it would have been useful to do a history of the sort of Weapon X program, like leading up to but not including Wolverine. I think it would have been an interesting sort of avenue to sort of have a darker look at America's past and sort of take Captain America and say, well, what happened when they continued the program? Who was involved? You know, it's something a bit interesting, a bit different.
It's historically, it's a whole social statement to create, isn't it? Because they did actually experiment on black soldiers, didn't they? You know, back in Vietnam War or something like that, or Korean War.
I mean, during the Cold War, they experimented on everyone. They fed LSD to.
They weren't just black soldiers. Like, it wasn't just soldiers in general. They were an all black community that sued government and won.
Obviously, at the minute, it's quite prominent with the Black Lives Matter thing. So, obviously, the whole thing about Sam is the reason why he turned down. I mean, from what I got, at least from the first couple of episodes, is the reason why he turned down the Shield is because he didn't feel that it would be appropriate for a black man to become the new Captain America.
Where have you got that from?
From first episode. And
no.
Then you went to
it didn't feel like you were up to a job. When the fuck did race come into it? Like, when did it won't be appropriate for a black man to be Captain America? Like, that just never came into it at all. They never hinted that.
I thought race was a massive thing, at least in the first 2 episodes. That the reason why he didn't do it is because he was obviously because.
Where have you got that from?
Well, did you not get from second episode? From obviously
when he saw a black man that had been experimented on and he felt angry.
No, like, because you jump in the gun here. So you got the first episode where he turned down the shield, then Bucky takes him to what was a black Captain America, which was Isaiah Bradley, and then right after that,
they have the police stop him.
Yes, exactly. He's arguing in the street, and the police stop him because he's a black man arguing with a white man.
Well, yeah, but not at one point has he hinted, or not at one point has he said, or not at one point has it all come out about him not thinking that there should be a black Captain America.
No, because he gets. Do you know? Because he gets.
Yeah, race things are brought into it because the whole thing about this TV show is it's quite politically motivated. But not once have I seen the race issues that they brought up in thing put towards his motive and not taking that shield. All right. He's even said like the shield. It's just down to him not feeling worthy, not feeling like he'd do a good job.
I'll agree that wasn't the main focus. However, from the first 2 episodes, that was definitely one of the things he would have taken into consideration.
No.
Because that's the way he reacts to the whole Isaiah Bradley thing. I think the fact that he didn't think he was worthy anyway, and the whole, obviously, the race element would have been another factor as well involved. There's been plenty of factors why he's turned down the thing, and that's what
I
I
think you're
thought.
just making stuff up off screen that they're not even into that.
Well, no, it explores that in the first 2 episodes. Otherwise, why would they go to see a black ex-Captain America?
Because they want to know about who's got the serum and who experimented on him.
But why?
It's like the side of that
because it was showing you that the serum's been used on, like, other people have got the serum. The serum has been used without history, right? And then it were a nice callback for comic book fans.
The serum's been used on other characters. It's specifically, I think they've used that because he's a black Captain America. It's
probably everything that's going off with Black Lives Matter. But I don't think you can attribute that Sam don't think that he's wearing because he's black.
Do you think that? Do you think? I think what Carl's trying to say is, do you think people would call him the Black Captain America? There's a bit earlier on where he says Black Falcon, and he goes, "I'm not Black Falcon. I'm just the Falcon. I don't call you Black Kid." I think that's the point that Kyle's. I think that's what Kyle's trying to aim at. Is they specifically went to him because he's a black man and he didn't want to have the mantle of, "Oh, I'm not just Captain America. I'm the Black Captain America." I think I don't know. I think they're doing it. But...
Yeah, because again, when he were doing that, you could tell it didn't get to him. He wasn't angry about it. It didn't. They're doing them in a separate way. So the old Black Lives stuff that they were going on about, the Black Lives Matter, and showing the black kid when he told him the Black Falcon, and when he saw the black soldier that had been experimented on and stuff like that. It was separate to what his feelings is. That what he's portrayed.
Was just a scene to have a bit more context to the character rather than
exactly. It's different to what he's portrayed so far in his therapy sessions and everything else on why he didn't take the shield up. Unless he says something else later down the line, then that for me don't resonate.
I think that could have made an impact on his choice personally. I think they could have explored it a lot more with the whole.
They could have, but they didn't, which means it's not.
Partly, I think I would have preferred that. In fact, the reason why you would have chose it down is because of obviously.
It would have been quite a good storyline, but I don't think it's there at minute, and they haven't shown that.
Like this is my whole thing about all these different threads. Is each episode there's so many threads at the minute that yet to close off. However, that's possibly down to the whole change in between the 6 to 9 episodes and the whole change in story. That might have something they would have explored further.
I don't know. I don't know what you mean by these threads that aren't closed off.
There is a bit on the plane as well where it's when they go with Zemos and they're leaving at the end of episode 3, I think, where he says like Bucky and Falcon Bucky and Sam are having a conversation about like what it means to be Captain America and why Bucky would have picked up the shield and Sam wouldn't. And they talk about the race part there, the race element of it there.
I thought you just said that he didn't feel good in it. He didn't feel worthy. And then that's where Bucky turned around. Well, if we were wrong about you, then that means they were wrong about me. That's why I care.
No, that's the bit where it's with the therapist.
Yeah. In the plane on third episode, it goes into a little bit more.
Yeah, there's a bit on the plane. I think he says something like, Sam says like, "You people would want that," and Bucky looks at him like it's a race thing, and Sam says, "Oh no, I didn't mean it like that." But I think that they do sort of suggest that there's an idea of
because
partially in race.
There's a bit that people saying a breakdown that Dewey, that Zemo, because Zemo says something, doesn't he? Where
earlier on in an earlier plane ride. Yeah.
But that people are suspecting that Zemo could actually be Jewish, and that's why he didn't want the whole. He's completely against the whole idea of supremacy and things like that.
I don't know, because again, that's just shooting at just random shit. Like, they've not said that he's Jewish, so why would you think he's Jewish? Why would you put that to him?
All right, well, it's just from a breakdown, but obviously I'm agreeing with Elliott because it's important.
I've watched the same breakdown. I heard him say it, but again, this is where it lost me with WandaVision.
You don't want people spelling out everything. You didn't want a separate Captain America show because you didn't want them to spell out everybody's backstory. But now you're saying, well, they didn't say this and they didn't point it out.
Yeah, but they're not even hinting at it. It's like when it came to like
they've said it like in
when it came to the Jewish shit, it's not even like it came from nowhere. The only reason why they thought they might be Jewish is because they're not mentioned that he was bloody German, like you see comics. That's what I mean about like clutching it. So this is what got me about WandaVision. WandaVision, there was so much shit there that we just kind of grabbed onto and put a load of meaning to, or we said a load of shit that might have happened off screen, or it might have meant it this way, or it might have meant it that way, and it ruined TV show for me.
I think that the fans ruined that part of WandaVision for you. I don't think if you'd watched the breakdowns and you've seen people go, there's an M on the wall, therefore it must be Mephisto, House of M.
No, because I would do it exactly the same. I would always put in meaning behind every single word that I said in a sentence.
Still think his overall thing is he just doesn't like it because of what happened to his family and, you know, the whole... That's why I don't like supremacy. And it's come from a country which has been...
Because it's been proved exactly by flag smashers. His whole premise is right. Everybody that he knows that's took the super serum have all turned into supremacy, and it's showing that with the ginger lass that's suddenly thinking that she's chosen. But suddenly thinking that, well, that's the thing. He says, all right, well, that's one out how many?
All right, fine.
That's his whole point. To everybody that's done it, and then it shows you it later in episode 4, the ginger lass from Flag Smashers talking with Sam. Sam's agreeing with summary points, disagreeing with summary points, and then she suddenly comes out and says, well, yeah, but I'm chosen and I'm this and I'm, you know what I mean? You can see the supremacy side of it coming out. I don't think it's got out to do with that he's Jewish.
Do you think the overall themes of supremacy feed into the show?
A little bit, yeah. Because you have got America, which... There's quite a lot of big population around the world, and a lot of people that look at American policy and American everything and do see it as like a supremacy, something that comes in where it's got no business coming in and takes over kind of thing. And you've got that with John Walker, and then you've got that with the Flag Smashers, and it does seem to be like a running theme throughout it all.
I think this TV show is quite heavily politically motivated. You know, with everything, the whole themes are it. So it's going to cause friction from everybody. I mean, and obviously, I know, Elliott, what parts are you disliking? We've not really discussed that yet. We've sort of, in fact, we're probably not really discussing the bits we do like about it yet. Although, potentially, because that we're discussing, obviously, that it's all these different point threads, and, you know, it is quite politically, you know, theme, that is possibly a good thing. But go on, Elliott, what bits are you not liking about it?
I think that the issue I have with this show is that it's gotten better since the first episode, but things that I don't like are storylines like the bit where he goes to the bank and stuff, where they're storylines that you could instantly think of a solution to the problem. Like the problem is so trivial, and it's just about people having trivial issues. This is why I didn't like Arrow. I don't like the Flash TV show. I don't like Smallville. I don't like a lot of those shows because it's very melodramatic. And I think the first episode was very melodramatic. I think
I will definitely agree with that. The whole
I don't know. I quite scene like it were a very easy fix, but I did like that banking scene because I do like when Marvel kind of shows a smaller picture. I like it when they kind of get down and show you like just the little everyday shitty little bits rather than the ending world kind of stuff.
If they make a second season of it, then I won't mind that scene. However, if they don't, I'll just think that's a pointless scene where they could have put more time into other things from the story.
I think it kind of works out like... I think we're all trying to show you what happened in that 5 years, wasn't it? The 5 years that they were gone.
All right. How much more do we know about the boating thing since
exactly.
Episode 1?
They kind of just ripped it off. He's left her to it again. Like, he's just ditched her. Like, it's such a wonderful brother. He's just kind of fucked her off with it again after leaving her with it for 5 years to begin with. But I don't know. I do kind of like them little bits. It kind of adds a little bit. I don't know how to say it.
There's a difference between making it like adding like giving a bit more depth to characters.
No, it's not depth. It's not all like that. I think it's a bit of something that you can kind of relate to, kind of thing. Yeah, a little bit of world building, a little bit of like you can properly like relate to it. Yeah, I've had to go to a bank and talk to a dickhead. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing.
again, this is my point. It's those melodramas, that bit of absolutely nothing conversation just to pad time because the budget's not big enough to do special effects or do something interesting.
You're talking to somebody that's seen every episode of Gossip Girl and stuff like that. So melodramatic, I don't mind.
I think this is the difference. I don't like Gossip Girl. I mean, I'm quite happy to say, I mean, the show's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but this, if it wasn't for this podcast, I wouldn't watch this show.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like it that much?
Surprised me. That surprised me. Yeah. I thought you'd at least got it away through. I agree with you. I think it's just that scene was just put in for. I think that scene was just put in for like extra padding for the whole when she rings up her and says, "Oh, by the way, I can tell what your sister's doing. We can do all this." I think that's the only reason that Black Story is being done is, just to cause a threat to Sam from these flag smashers. I think it was a pointless scene. It could have been put elsewhere, for like more backstory on Sam, or not just some backstory on Sam, but flag smashers. It could have been used for something better anyway.
Did you notice that the only time she rang him during this entire mission is when he was pretending to be Smiling Tiger?
Yeah. So it's like the whole thing is just being put in just to cause these other.
Yeah, it is all based over like 3 or 4 days at minute, isn't it?
Why is he not gone to Why has he not gone to Pepper? Because let's be honest, like Stark Industries supplies everything for Avengers. Why has he not just gone to Pepper and just said, you know what, sister's business is running a bit low. Can I just get some money off you? Because you're loaded.
I mean, pretty sure.
So I've gone to a bank in my hometown to get a bank loan to provide all this shit.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure like it's a bit embarrassing having to go to your superhero mates and stuff asking for money.
Why don't they just run a book?
That'd be like me coming to you.
There's one line where
well, yeah, but that'd be like me coming to like Elliott. Elliott's made a big deal. He said me coming to Elliott and going, rather than me going to a bank and getting embarrassed, do you fancy lending me some money?
And I'd say, well, why, if you are world renowned and known, why aren't you just going on your book tour or doing some appearances or selling interviews?
Don't get me wrong, I completely agree with you.
Fucking anything.
Yeah, but I just think it'd never go to Pepper for money.
All right, so why don't you just do like an interview in Oprah, like fucking what Meghan and Harry did?
There's plenty of stuff that I could do, but it's whether or not he agrees with him.
I'd like to point out that Pepper allows Peter he gets the glasses, he's had 3 suits, he's had access to the private jet. I mean, Peter's living the high life.
Yeah, but one of them's like 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly. Why does he get all the money and the toys and everything? And
give him a break. What do you mean? Falcon gets his little toy bird.
Yeah, but
that came from the US government. They explained that it comes from the US government.
No, it comes from Stark.
No, he said it's government property.
No, it comes from Stark. It comes from Stark, and he says every time that government touch it, it comes back with bugs. So every time Department of Defense touch it and stuff like that, it comes back with bugs.
Do you not think
it's a Stark Industries?
Do you not think it's interesting that Bucky can go to a restaurant even though he's not had a job for like 100 years?
Yeah, but he got in with Candons, didn't he? With Candons, they've got bare pennies.
I just think it's interesting that he's like a private contractor for government, Sam, and he's getting paid.
Well, the only reason why it said that in episode 1, the only reason why I went back working for Air Force is because he needed money.
But he's an Avenger, and you just say, well, so why would he need any money?
Because you don't get paid.
It's a pointless thing. Because
you don't get. Who are you going to get paid from for being an Avenger?
You got Stark Industries, which is like their lead. They've got them arc reactors, which are like.
Do you think
pretty much saved the world from like?
Do you think Bruce Wayne pays Aquaman some pennies so that he can go and buy some whiskey after the same world? No, like they do it because they're heroes. That's the whole point about it. This is the whole point of this show. Like the whole reason why like Steve Rogers worked and why rest of Avengers worked and why they're not supremacists is because they're trying to prove that the heroes, which he says.
The communists is what you're trying to say.
Well, no, they're saying episode 4 that the actual line is that Avengers are trying to prove that the heroes, we're at Rest Room, are trying to prove that they're special.
There's one throwaway line in Age of Ultron, which Tony Stark says when Mariel turns around and says to Captain America, saying, or to Tony Stark saying, what are you doing now, boss? And he turns to Captain America saying he's a boss. Even though I pay for everything, I build everything, I make everybody look cool. No, the whole Avengers team is paid by Stark Industries.
That's not what that means. He pays for everything. He builds everything, and he makes everybody look cool. That don't like not one point there did he say I gave everybody a wage.
Why would? Obviously, they're gonna have to get some money because that's
the whole point of this. Is that like they don't get paid?
That was the whole scene in the bank where getting a loan. Doesn't Tony pay you? He goes, no, it's more of a volunteer thing. You know, his argument was that you get the attack and everything, but you don't get anything else. You don't get the money for it. You just get.
And to be fair, right, if somebody said to me for a couple of days' work, you can have something that's worth $500 billion, and you can strap it to your back, yeah,
it just doesn't.
You'd be pretty happy with it.
It just doesn't make any sense at the fact that you've got these heroes that are saving the world, and Stark Industries, oh, I'll pay you, but however, if you're struggling, I'm not going to give you. We're not going to give you money or all.
Carl, can I just say,
you're risking your life to save the.
I completely agree. This is why I don't like the bank scene or anything that happens in the melodrama.
I agree with you.
It don't matter. It don't make any sense.
I agree with you all, but I still like the bank scene.
I don't know.
That's the difference.
Let me put it this way: Wonder and Vision have bought a house. Where did they get that money from? Because neither of them has any money.
Exactly.
He's a robot and she's a
fucking
android.
He's not even got a national insurance number. He's an android and he's bought an house.
It's even better. He bought it on his own. Yeah, he did. Yeah. So they didn't buy it together. He had enough money to buy an house on his own. He didn't buy it in a shithole, but he bought an house on his cent. I mean, none of it really makes sense because how many times would these be on Good Morning Britain and shit like that?
Yeah,
how many times would
you
know what I mean?
He have money. Like you see, John Walker does the interview at the beginning. You're telling me nobody wants to interview with the Falcon?
That's the thing. Is he doing it out of principle, or is it just the keeping that out on purpose?
The scene just didn't. They shouldn't have put it in. You know.
For me, I don't know. It still works. It still gives you that same feeling. Yeah, it don't really fit, and it don't really make sense.
It would have made more sense for his sister just to outright refuse the money from him, to say, you know what, I've done this for 5 years, buy me sen, I'm gonna do it myself. You know, you weren't here, or I've made this conscious decision, you know what, we're gonna get rid of the book because it gets rid of the whole responsibility for you, and then you can focus on other things.
You just want to buy your way back into the family business type idea.
Or she could even turn around and say, you know what, you shouldn't have turned down that shield because that's what you're meant to do. You shouldn't be doing all this. You know what I mean? It would put more.
But again, that's a different. Plus, that's one way that he could have done it, but I don't disagree with the way that they have done it. Yeah, it don't really make that much sense in it, but it still gives you that same feeling. It still works. It still gives you this sense of being able to connect with it. A little bit of a kind of funny thing, which is weird. I thought the series were going to be a little bit light-hearted and dark at times, but it just seems to be turning, especially 4th episode. It just seems to be dark and broody all the time. I thought it was going to be a lot more like first and second, where it was light, funny, airy.
I don't know.
So what's everybody else's opinion of the show?
It's good. It's not great. I want to like it. I don't know. I probably feel like, you know, if I wasn't a big Star Wars fan, that I'd be like same opinion what you were like with Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I think Mandalorian's better than this. I really
do.
Mandalorian's better than this.
See, I think this is better than Mandalorian, and I do like it, but I can see it for its flaws. I can see that it's messy more than
I like it. I just think it could have been done a lot differently. And if they do a second series, it might change my opinion on it because at the minute I'm in the opinion that there's so many different storylines that they have to.
Well, that's the thing though, because both of these two main characters, they're not big enough to be able to hold a film. You couldn't do a Falcon film or a Winter Soldier film, and you'd probably struggle to put a bankable film in cinema, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So for me, there's a lot more chance of this having a season 2 than what WandaVision had, or when I would start watching WandaVision, what I thought it had.
Yeah, but
I knew WandaVision was going to be a one-off.
Identity. It had an identity. It was different. And I think that's one of the things that drew me to that. Whereas I think that this just feels like every other TV superhero show, like a bit like Titans on Netflix. This feels the same. I mean, it's different.
For me,
obviously,
I'm gonna say production
different
quality is
budgets
a
and
lot
everything.
better.
Yeah, but like it's the same melodrama in Titans is in this. It's the same sort of storyline, the same
See,
sort of
I get a bit of
grittiness to it.
If
Is
you're
both those shows.
compare Titans to this, I'd actually prefer Titans.
Wow.
Titans has got the better story, but it's nowhere near.
I just think it's better casting. I think the whole
Better casting?
Yeah.
Really?
I
Or would you say miscast in Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Oh, sorry, not better cast. Well, with the exception of Ian Glenn as Bruce Wayne, I think the whole cast of Titans are brilliant.
I agree to disagree on that. Some bad acting in Titans.
I'll be honest and say I'm talking about my ass when it says come down to casting.
But Falcon and Winter Soldier for me, really good TV show. But I can see it's messy. It could be a lot better. So I get where your frustration comes from.
Kyle, final thoughts?
Winter Soldier, it's trying to be like Winter Soldier, but it's not at the minute. I think if the series were a lot longer, I'd be interested to find out what the original concept would have been like. With it being 9 episodes, especially to keep the same runtime for the episodes. WandaVision's dictate for Marvel TV shows. I'll still keep watching it. I still think it's a good show. I just don't think it's great, and it annoys me because could be so much better. However, again, if they make it a second series and explore a lot of the plot threads that I've I've mentioned and we've all discussed, then it might make it better.